Hey Gary, as promised, I'm making another video to go ahead and show you, I guess, how we're going to go ahead and get the ball joint back in the socket. And so, per our previous messages, I know the ball joint on this portion right here, this is the one that you indicated was, out of place, and that the actual ball itself was popped out of the socket on this housing. So, the good news for this is that that's actually pretty easy to remedy, and I'll go ahead and show you the steps to do it. For this particular one, the ball is actually in the socket, and unfortunately for us to kind of remove it from the socket, it does kind of risk it does run with the risk of damaging the housing. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it in real time, but I will go ahead and show you every step involved. Now, before we kind of get to that portion of it, it is kind of important to touch base on the mechanics of this and really the mechanism, just to understand how it happened and how we're going to go ahead and get everything back in place. So in the photo that I showed you, I believe a couple emails back, there's pretty much three joints right here. There's one down here, one up here, and then there's another one up here. And so in the photo, I believe I numbered them 1, 2, 3. So we'll go ahead and use that to really kind of discuss, how this works and then how that whole issue kind of came about. And since it is pretty hard to see in there, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to use this cap as representative of the housing that's in here. So we'll go ahead and pretend that this little, protruding portion right here, that's going to be the projector housing, and then the joints would be 1, 2, and 3. Now the way that this headlight works is that at the bottom 3 right here, this is actually going to be your little pivot joint. So it is a small little ball joint, and this is the one that actually allows it to pivot. This one doesn't actually adjust itself, it just stays put. These are the two adjusters up here. This is going to be your vertical adjuster, and this is going to be your horizontal adjuster. And pretty much anytime you're leveling the headlights, if you're leveling it vertically, you're pretty much pulling this back, and then if you're leveling it from side to side horizontally, you're pushing it like that, and all the time it's pivoting on this little axis right here. So that's how we get the movement in the headlight. Now, what my warehouse staff mentioned to me is anytime a ball pops out of the socket, what it is that something's been adjusted beyond its range. And so it's really important to kind of understand what happened in this case. So in this case, I know we were trying to adjust the beams up, so obviously we were doing this right here, and the fact that it popped out of the socket right there, what that's letting me know is that most likely the headlight was turned in a little towards the right here. So let's say if this is the passenger side that has this issue, it's turned in towards the center of the vehicle. So what you'd have would be you're adjusting it upwards like this, and then if it was already aimed too much like that, as you can imagine, this joint has a limit where it's gonna pop out of the socket, and if we do it like that enough, eventually it will pop out of the socket. So what we want to go ahead and do first is a couple things. First, we want to go ahead and actually adjust the headlight so that it kind of goes more outward. So this would be your horizontal adjustment. On this headlight, it would be this knob right here, and just go ahead and adjust it out that way. For your particular vehicle, I do apologize, I don't remember if it was on the driver's side or the passenger side we're working with, but whichever headlight side you're working with, just go ahead and adjust it outwards. So it would go outwards from the center of the vehicle. That's going to be the first step. Now the next step, you're going to want to go ahead and take this adjuster right here and make it go further inward. So if you were adjusting it on the vehicle, it'd be almost like if you were adjusting it down. So that way, this little ball joint in there is going to stick in further into the headlight, so we could start to get closer to making contact with that socket. Now once you do both of those, the next part is actually pretty easy from what my warehouse staff is telling me. Once you have this adjusted so that the ball is going further in, so it's almost getting into the joint itself, all you got to do is really just pull the housing back, and you can grab it by right here. This is actually pretty firm right here from what they're telling me, and just go ahead and pull it until you're able to pop the ball back into the socket. Now if you're finding it difficult to do so, or it seems like it's taking a lot of force to kind of get it in there, again, just adjust the headlight, the vertical adjuster, so that it goes down, adjusted downwards, which will pretty much push that ball further into the socket right there. And it may even be able to do it itself right there, just extra little pull on the housing itself. Now once that's done, you'll have everything set up, and when you go ahead and try to level the beam again to get it to the right output, again I would suggest to kind of give the horizontal adjustment, adjust it a little outwards from the vehicle, so that way you're able to get the vertical one where the range where you want it, and then from there we'll go ahead and kind of get the other one back in and to spec. So again, I do hope this clarifies more or less what's going on right here. I will also attach the photo one more time just so you can kind of have that visual reference as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get that the socket popped back in there and get the level the headlights leveled to exactly the level that you're looking for. So this concludes the video documentation. Thank you very much.